If I go out today, I get 50% less fish than when I started.
Lake Nokwe in Benin, West Africa. With its 30 species of edible fish, it's the economic mainstay for more than 3 million people. Overfishing, though, and pollution are taking a toll. But our observers are optimistic. They think they've found ways to mobilize the local communities and the authorities. Corentin Beignet went to meet them.
Stretching across 339 hectares, Lake Nokwe is the economic hub of southern Benin. Its waters are home to a constant traffic of people and goods. The main activity is fishing. In the last 20 years, the scale of fishing has grown exponentially. A technique known as fish parks now threatens the lake's economic balance and its fragile ecosystem. Our observer Arnaud is hoping to change that. Hello Arnaud.
Hello Corentin.
What are you doing with that drone?
We use the drones to film the fish parks. There are more and more of them on Lake Nokwe. We'll show the drone footage to the authorities. We want to convince them how urgent it is.
Can we take a look at the fish parks?
Yes, we can take this boat.
Arnaud's NGO, Bees, fights to safeguard the ecosystem of the lake. It's endangered by the proliferation of fish parks. In the Fon language, they're known as a kaja. The system is simple and highly effective.
You can see branches on the inside. The idea is to release phytoplankton, which are critical for fish reproduction. That's the aim. You put the fish in their natural habitat with natural elements, they eat, they get big, and you can harvest them when they're ready. The parks are traps. They're designed to attract the fish, and when there are enough fish inside, you close the trap.
What they do is surround the park with a net to prevent the fish from escaping. All that's left to do is collect them. The fish parks are very effective. Lake Nokwe is the most productive lake in Benin, with up to 20 tons of fish per hectare per year. They're efficient but unequal. The akaja attract almost all the fish, and because they're operated by just a handful of big fishermen, for small-scale fishermen, there's very little left.
This is how people used to fish, before the fish parks started coming in.
Before, there weren't as many akajas, and my parents could get by fishing with nets. If I go out today, I get 50% less fish than when I started. Some fishermen have given up. They've moved to big cities to find another job.
Is that what he's caught since this morning?
He started at 8 a.m. and that's all he caught.
So it's 11:30 a.m. now. That means in 3.5 hours he's caught only these fish. Back on dry land, Arnaud takes us to see the mangroves which separate Lake Nokwe from the ocean. Mangrove branches are a popular material for building fish parks. As a result, they're disappearing, and the fish with them.
The entire shore used to be covered with mangroves like this. They were used to make akaja. Their stems are cut like this. There we have some red mangrove, which make stilt roots, which spread all over. They become a spawning ground for the fish. They reproduce down in the roots. There's a direct cause and effect. Fewer mangroves means fewer fish reproducing.
Arnaud's NGO invested in a drone last year to help them document the economic and ecological impact of the akaja. He uses it whenever he's out in the field.
The government officially banned mangrove cutting back in 2016, but we saw that the ban wasn't being enforced. So we decided to go and film some images so the authorities could see what state the mangrove ecosystems are in. We've been lobbying the authorities on these issues for 4 years now. We noticed that the videos and maps we've been producing with the drone have a lot more impact than the written reports we used to submit.
Bees' drone images ended up getting the attention of the National Fisheries Bureau, which is responsible for regulating fishing activity. They're in constant contact with one of the Bureau's engineers, Daouda Aliou.
So, what can the Fisheries Bureau and other agencies do to protect this ecosystem, which we know is critical to the community?
The information from the NGO has allowed us to make arrests and confiscate the perpetrators' outboard engines. People have gotten the message. They know they're being monitored and that some fishermen have even gone to jail. It's true there's been a lot of deforestation, cutting the mangroves. People have cut them down a lot, but we're replanting them.
The Fisheries Bureau and Arnaud's NGO are planning to work together to set up a reserve to allow for the mangroves to regenerate. Bees' images have helped the authorities step up enforcement. They've been seizing illegal nets, their mesh so fine that they were trapping even the smallest of fish. Do the NGO's images and maps have any influence on the decision-making process?
We met the head of state last Tuesday. We showed him these images to show how serious the situation is and the need for us to have a comprehensive action plan. We're going to use the drone images to map out where shipping lanes should go, which areas should be out of bounds for sedentary fisheries. These images serve as decision-making tools.
So, Arnaud, your images are being seen at the highest levels of the state. That's a success, right?
Yes, it's why we use a drone to get these images. With drone footage, everyone can see exactly what's going on.
The Fisheries Bureau is now thinking of getting its own drones.
To go down, you go down like that. Go down. That's it.
I'm going to break it.
Arnaud decides it's a good time to bring up another topic, pollution of the shores of the Cotonou Lagoon, which connects to the lake. The lagoon is just a few meters away. There are people living there in makeshift slums, in squalor. People earn money however they can, including transporting oil across the lake.
They generate rubbish, and the rubbish fills up the lake. It degrades the environment and the ecosystem, and it prevents fishery resources from developing.
The drone images have allowed local officials, mayors and district heads, to have a clear picture of the state of the shoreline. They weren't aware of the extent of the damage.
Further up the lake, the Soava jetty is the nerve centre of the local economy. It's here that the barrels of smuggled Nigerian oil are unloaded. This is where we meet another of our observers, Donald Uwesu and his team. They're tackling another form of pollution, natural this time round. Their NGO, ASED, supports 150 vegetable farmers and at the same time combats water hyacinths, a South American plant introduced to the lake in the 1980s. The plant is beautiful, but highly invasive. It's clogging the lake and its economic activity.
You can see there that the channel is totally blocked. The driver has to remove the hyacinths from the engine so we can get through. The traffic lanes end up getting blocked. When the farmers bring their produce to market, they're sometimes blocked mid-route because they have non-motorized canoes. And it's very hard for non-motorized canoes to find a way through. It makes it hard to fish, too. Take a look at this plant. It's full of water, which makes up about 95% of its weight. It traps the oxygen and prevents fish from breathing, so they die.
The water hyacinths are a real threat to the lake's economy, but ASED and the farmers have developed a new technique for collecting the plants.
Before, people used to get into the water, collect the plants, fill up their canoe, and head back to the shore. But there were health problems and the danger of drowning. So, we've come up with a better technique. We place a net in the water, using wooden poles and small cans filled with water. We surround a cluster of hyacinths and then use 2 canoes to drag them to the shore.
The problem is that once collected, the hyacinths decompose, rot and release CO2, which contributes to climate change. So Donald and the farmers decided to transform them into compost. The plants are dried, then mixed with wood ash and cow dung. The farmers are now using compost, the first time they've used any kind of fertilizer.
Their yield has more than doubled on average. It depends from crop to crop. We did our research on 3 main crops here: peppers, tomatoes and pigweed.
la tomate et l'amarante.
What impact has the hyacinth-based compost had on quality of life?
The fruit and vegetables are larger and better looking. They're easier to conserve too. That means they can be sold more easily at market. Generally speaking, our quality of life has improved significantly.
In 5 years, 5,400 tonnes of hyacinths have been transformed. The next step will take place at the end of May with the inauguration of a biodigester. Fueled by hyacinths and household waste, it will produce biogas. The farmers can use it for cooking instead of wood. Transforming a natural menace into a resource. The initiative has been a success, and not only with the farmers. The NGO also supports women who weave craft items using dried hyacinths. ASED has helped these women form a cooperative and gave them access to fairs and markets. They also benefit from the tourists who come to Gamvi, a town on stilts known as the Venice of Africa. Before, Agnes Papko sold fish. Now her life has improved.
It allows us to feed our children, to buy them clothes and send them to school. Women are able to give something to their children. One of the women here has a daughter who wanted to get a sewing diploma. We took the money we've made from selling our products and put it together to pay for her course.
So it's an apprenticeship, is that right?
Yes, her daughter got her diploma.
Okay. Other towns around the lake are hoping to set up similar projects. Our observers are optimistic. If the authorities deliver on their promises and the local residents continue to work together, Lake Nokui will one day regain its full potential. Their projects have already shown that citizen initiatives can have a direct and positive impact on their community.
That's it for this week. We'll be following our observers' progress on our website, observers.france24.com. I'll see you next time.